What's going on, guys? Jacoborth back here with another video of Jacob's Life in Vegas. Talk to you guys today about a video I'm going to do. It's a different kind of video. It's actually a response video to a gentleman with a channel called World According to Briggs. And he has a video that's been popular recently about 10 reasons he says not to move here to Las Vegas. So I'm going to do the first ever response video here on my channel, which is called Jacob's Life in Vegas. And as many of you can probably guess from the title of my channel, I, Jacob, am a person who lives here in Las Vegas as a local, and I have hundreds and hundreds of videos on my channel to talk about what it's like to really live here as a Las Vegas local. So you can subscribe to my channel down below if you want to get real information from a Las Vegas local about what it's like to live here. And I'm going to go through the 10 reasons that Mr. Briggs here gave for why he thinks Vegas is not a good place to live, and I'm going to break those down one by one. So let's get into the first point, according to Briggs, why Vegas is a place that you should not live in. He talks about traffic. He says traffic in Vegas is the worst, and talks about how aggressive the drivers are and all that kind of stuff here, which is, to me, is insane. Because if you look on my channel, one of the very first videos I ever did on this channel as a thing that I love about living in Las Vegas was the traffic, or the lack thereof traffic. And I'll put either a link either up here or in the description or in the comments. I'll put the link to that video that I did talking about the traffic here and how minimal it is compared to other parts of the area. Where the first day I was here looking for work, the headline of the news that night was that there was like a 3 or 4 minute delay on the road in traffic. That's what it was. The comical part is when he's talking about this, and he's talking about how bad traffic is on the freeway here, supposedly, is that in his video he shows a picture of the Strip. He shows congestion on Las Vegas Boulevard, which, yes, that little 4-mile stretch is going to be congested because it's completely full of tourists all the time. It's not always full of locals. The traffic here isn't that bad. There's only about 2 main freeways you really have to worry about. The rest of this area off the freeway is pretty much a giant grid. This is one of the easiest places to navigate, and compared to other big cities. It talks about also how much the traffic here is supposedly a rush hour 24/7. You gotta be kidding me. You have to be absolutely kidding me when you say that, okay? Terrible traffic is sitting on the 405 down in Southern California on Friday afternoon. Go sit on that for one afternoon down in Southern California, and then come back to me and tell me how bad Vegas' traffic is. You talk to anybody who moved here from Los Angeles, San Francisco, or Chicago, or New York, or Miami, or Houston, or any other big city, and you ask them about how bad Vegas' traffic is compared to their hometown where they grew up, they're going to laugh when you try to tell them that Vegas has bad traffic compared to those places. So the second reason that Briggs gives for why Las Vegas is not a place you want to move to, he says the schools blow. That's what he says, is that Vegas schools blow, okay? One thing to remember about this area is that these schools do struggle in this area compared in the rankings every single year with the state of Nevada, okay? There's a lot of issues this area has to face, like having such a big transient population that comes through here, so many foreigners that come and live here. We got about 20% of our population are foreigners here. It's one of the highest in the country. So you got a lot of people who have language barriers, there's cultural barriers, some people are only here for a short while. All those things have a giant impact on the education system. Now, one thing to remember is that this is a big area. There's about 2 million people who live here. So we do have good schools in the Vegas area. There's also a lot of other options, okay? You could be in Vegas, you could be in North Vegas, or you could be in Henderson, where they have plenty of good schools down, especially in the Henderson area. But even in Vegas, you don't have to just go to the public school that the government says you go to and just that your kids are supposed to go to and just accept what your government thinks is a good education. Okay, there's other school options for you. We have charter schools, we have magnet schools, we have private schools, we have parochial schools. Some of them are geared towards people who are Catholic, who are Lutheran, who are Hebrew, who are non-denominational. You can homeschool your children. Some people like to do unschooling for their children. There's all kinds of other options here besides just the public schools and what they have to offer. The next part that Briggs mentions about our school system here, and I had to laugh when I heard this one. This one's comical. I love this one. He talks about the teachers here and how the teachers in the Vegas area only make around $30,000 a year, give or take. I did a simple Google search that any 5th grader could do and that you could have done before you made this video. Glassdoor.com says teachers in Las Vegas, about $41,500 a year. Teachingdegree.org, teachers in Vegas, about $49,000 a year. Payscale.com, the median income for a teacher in the Las Vegas area, $47,900 a year. Indeed.com, $55,900. And Salary.com, $56,900 is what they have reported as the median public school teacher income in Las Vegas. $30,000 is nowhere even close to that. Let's get into the 8th point that World According to Briggs talks about for reasons you should not live in Las Vegas, and he says gambling. Briggs says that when you live in Las Vegas, you're going to live and breathe gambling whether you like it or not. This is classic statement that a tourist would make who's never lived in Las Vegas before. Because a tourist, they think of Vegas and they think of gambling, and that's what they think Vegas is, right? A giant strip full of casinos, and that's all people do is just gamble all day, every day. Absolutely clueless. That is classic tourist concept, looking at Vegas from the outside, thinking that that's how the locals live. You're going to see this again in the guy's list of statements. He takes something that he thinks you shouldn't live, it gives a reason you shouldn't live here as a local, and he totally looks at it from the tourist perspective. The other thing he says is when there's a casino in every corner, it's kind of hard to avoid them, right? The allure is always there. The allure is always pulling you into these casinos, okay? One, there's not a casino at every corner. As you can see, I'm in a residential neighborhood right now, and I don't see any casinos around here, buddy. So there's casinos in here. There's big ones on the strip. There's ones off the strip. There are smaller ones around town. But, you know, if you're a fully grown, functioning, emotionally stable adult, and you actually have some discipline in yourself, you have some impulse control, you don't have to go into the casinos and spend your money, right? That's your choice, and it's your responsibility if you blow all your money gambling when you live here. Another point that Briggs likes to make about the gambling in Vegas is, okay, well, say if you're not going to gamble and you want to go do some other entertainment, you want to go to dinner, want to go to a show, he says you're going to have to walk through a casino and walk through all the gambling choices just to get to where you want to go, because most of the stuff is in casinos. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Again, that's another thing that a tourist would say, or they don't know what they're talking about the local life in Vegas. Most of the locals do not hang out on the strip for fun. When they go out at night, they don't go to the strip. A lot of locals avoid the strip. They might go to downtown, they'll go to Town Square, they'll go to downtown Summerlin, or they'll go to, you know, Boca Park, or they'll go to some other place. There's plenty of places around this area that locals go. They can go get dinner, they can go catch a show, they can go to buffets, they can go to all kinds of restaurants, have other entertainment options to do besides inside the big casinos on the strip. Now, as Briggs gets into his video and wants to talk other entertainment topics, he goes into point number 7, where he says the strip clubs in Vegas suck. When he got to this point, I must say I was very happy, because I, Jacob, have worked in Vegas strip clubs and Vegas gentlemen's clubs as a host for years out here in Las Vegas. So you're right in my wheelhouse on this one, man. Oh my gosh, when you got to this topic, I was like, this is gonna be great. And sure enough, what you said was pretty much what I expected. You don't know what you're talking about. I even have a separate channel here on YouTube where I talk about nightlife in Vegas. I talk about strip clubs and nightclubs and do all that kind of fun stuff and get people on guest lists for reservations, get them transportation to strip clubs, to get on bottle service, to get them deals, that kind of thing. I'll either put the link up here or down below in the description or in the comments, right? My other channel is called JacobslifeinVegas.com. If you want real nightlife information about strip clubs and all the nightlife stuff there's here to do in Vegas, don't listen to Briggs. Go to my channel and I'll tell you what nightlife in Vegas is really like. So in Briggs' video, he talks about how strip clubs in Vegas, he said most of them charge $50 just to get into the door to weed out the cheap dudes, because they only want the big spenders, right? They want to try to get the big spenders in there. Okay, there are strip clubs that do charge $50 for entry, and it's not just because they want to keep out the cheap people. That may be a small part of it, but there's a much bigger reason that dictates the cover charge at these strip clubs that you obviously don't know about. There's a whole back-end system to this that just happens in Vegas strip clubs, and other cities don't have it. They don't have to deal with it. It doesn't affect them. It's just in Vegas, and you have no clue about it whatsoever. So please don't go around talking about the cover charge of these places, why they do it, and how they operate, because you don't know what's going on. And the other thing to remember is when you go to these strip clubs and you have a host who sets the thing up for you, you can get your groups in deals where they don't have to pay the $50 just to get in the door, all right? There's contracts that people have with these clubs for groups they bring, okay? I've sent plenty of groups to strip clubs in the past. Not a single group of mine has ever paid $50 just to walk in the door. There's different deals you can do for them. There's different bottle packages. There's all kinds of other stuff you can try to work out for people as far as entry to these clubs and deals you can do. It doesn't just have to be $50 to walk in the door, Briggs. And if you're a real local, which you're not, you would know that these clubs also have deals and discounts for locals, so they're not paying $50 to get in the door. They have whole separate deals that they do for locals here in town who want to go to strip clubs and want to go to gentlemen's clubs. So the $50 thing doesn't really apply to locals that much. So once again, you're way off base. Another line that Briggs gives when it comes to talking about strip clubs in Vegas is he says the strippers are in charge. He says, I don't care if you have the title of manager, the dancers tell the manager what to do. Oh, that's classic. That is great. That's not even close. That is not even close, okay? Some of these big clubs in Vegas, these strip clubs, you have hundreds and I mean hundreds of strippers there in a night, hundreds of entertainers performing and dancing. There's no way those hundreds of girls are telling the manager, all the management staff, all the host staff, all the bar staff, all the waitress staff what to do. It doesn't work that way, okay? This is a big city, and this is known as the nightlife capital of the world. There's always entertainers coming to Vegas to audition and looking to get contracted to work at these clubs. Okay, no entertainer's going to walk in and just start bossing the manager around and telling him what to do. Oh, and Briggs, the last little bit of advice I'll give you when it comes to talking about strip clubs in Vegas. When you're on the topic of talking about strip clubs, and you have the pictures in the background of your video that you're showing, you might not want to show a club that closed about a year ago, and you know, also being a club that never once ever charged people $50 a person to get in. So you're showing a club that closed years ago, doesn't even exist anymore, and you're talking about the cover charge at a place that never even charged that amount to get in the door. Way to go. So let's get into reason number 6 that Briggs thinks Vegas is not a place that you should be moving to. So he talks about jobs in this point. So he says in Vegas, if you don't want to be a bartender, a server, a car dealer, or if you don't want to drive a taxi, then hey, you might as well go and work at a call center, because customer service call centers are such a big part of the economy here. And you know what, there is truth to that this economy is huge in the service sector. A lot of people work in the service industry, they work in some kind of hospitality or some kind of tourism. But guess what, Briggs? In an area that has about 2 million people, we need people for all kinds of jobs. And a lot of those jobs are ones that you're going to find in other big metro areas too. We need police officers and firefighters and teachers. We need babysitters. We need doctors. We need lawyers. We need people who can create more jobs, entrepreneurs. We need security guards. We need janitors. We need people that are going to go do construction work. We need people that are going to go do field labor. We need people that are going to come to your home and cut your grass. We need people that are going to walk dogs. We need people that can house sit. We need people that can do all sorts of other jobs besides just those basic service sector jobs that you mentioned. The 5th reason that Briggs gives for Vegas being a place that you do not want to live in and don't want to move to, he says the locals keep secrets. I heard him say that one in the video. I was like, what kind of stupid thing is that to say? The locals keep secrets? If you live here and you come in to move here, you're going to get to find out local places. You're going to find out real quickly that locals don't go hang out on the strip a whole lot. The locals tend to avoid the tourist areas, and they tend to go to plenty of places off the strip that they have available to them. Locals know this. I mean, where you say that they keep secrets, I don't even get it. That's just easily one of the dumber things you probably said in the video. Then you also go on to say, it's hard to find things in Vegas that are not in a casino or at least geared towards tourists. Once again, beyond stupid. That's something that another thing that a tourist would say, because all they know is the strip and the casinos, and they try to apply that to the whole area of 2 million people. Stupid, 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 okay? Locals know where to go. They know other good places in town, and they oftentimes share with other locals when you talk to them. People you work with, they'll share about places they go to eat, or they go to get their hair done, or their nails done, or they go to get a massage, or they go for hikes, or whatever whatever other activities they want to do. There's plenty of things to do off the strip that the locals know about that have nothing to do with a casino. And even when you move here as a first timer to Vegas, your first time living here, and you don't know anybody really, you know where places are, there's a couple things you could do. You could hop on Google, search there, right? WR reviews, hop on Yelp, search for places there. Or hey, people can even watch my channel. Because for years, I've been showing them things about the Vegas area that locals like to do and places that locals go to help educate people and show them that Vegas is a lot more than just the strip. The 4th reason given for a reason that you should not move to Las Vegas is the housing prices, which again, I found this one pretty laughable, because if you come here from a lot of other big metro areas, you're going to see that Vegas is actually a pretty affordable place to live. Okay, in comparison to a lot of other areas, Vegas homes really are affordable. And you know, Briggs talks about in the video how Vegas took a hit during the recession. Yeah, it took a huge hit. All right, this place was leading the country in foreclosures for quite a while. Okay, that's more common out in the western part of the country, where we have so much space here. So a place like Vegas or Phoenix, when they have big real estate growth, these areas grow a lot because we have so much more space. They're much more prone to boom and bust than you're going to find over on the East Coast, because a lot of our population in this country is more towards the East Coast than it is out here towards the West. So that's what happens. It's just part of the economy here and how it goes. But when the home prices went down, he talks about how, you know, it just encouraged more people to come and live here because prices were down. Well, it's not exactly the case. People did come to live here. The recession, people kept coming to live here even during the recession. But remember, we had a huge percentage of our homes here were bought by investors. not a whole lot of them are owner-occupied in comparison to other places because the homes here were so cheap. So you had a bunch of investors buying homes. A lot of it even was actually foreign money. So you had a lot of people coming here to rent. They weren't coming here to buy. They were just coming here to rent. We have a huge rental market here in Vegas. The other thing Briggs goes on to say about the home prices here in Vegas is that homeowners are charging more than their home is worth. Okay, homeowners can't just charge an amount and make somebody buy it. Okay, that's not how it works. They can list their home for a price that they think is what it's worth, and the other person can agree to buy it. If the home is priced too high, people are not going to buy it because the market does not think it's worth that much. But if somebody's willing to pay for a home, and you say in your video you think they're charging, 20 to 25% more, if someone's willing to pay it, then obviously that person thinks that that home is worth that much. They think that it's worth the buy. They think that their money is worth paying that much for that home. If it's not worth that price, then guess what? People adjust the price, and the market will have price adjustments, and it'll come down to whatever the market thinks is appropriate for someone to buy it. But if they're pricing them at a certain point and people are buying them, then that means they're buying them. That means the market thinks it's worth that price because people are buying them. And the third reason that Briggs gives for being a reason that you should not move to Las Vegas, he talks about downtown Vegas. He says downtown Vegas is a joke. He says it's grossly over-illuminated. Now that's kind of how all of Vegas is. All of Vegas, right? Once again, this is just ridiculous, okay? Whatever minuscule amount of credibility you had now is just totally gone with that statement, okay? Once again, you're looking at Vegas like a tourist, and you're taking your idea, your perspective from the tourists and putting it on the locals and saying, oh, that's how Vegas is. No, not even close. Not even close at all, okay? All you talk about in this part is downtown Vegas being illuminated because you're talking just about the little part of the Fremont Street experience underneath the canopy where there are a lot of lights. Yeah, that's for the tourists. That's for the tourists, okay? Locals do go down to Fremont Street. Been down there plenty of times myself, okay? But that little stretch right there where there's the canopy, that's not all of downtown Vegas. There's actually a lot more to it than that, and locals know that. If you think Vegas is so grossly over-illuminated, then why don't you try taking a drive out to Mountain's Edge, or, go to the lakes in Summerlin, go out to Providence, the northwest part of town, Nellis Air Force Base, go take a hike out in Sloan Canyon, go take a hike out in, Red Rock or something like that. You can tell me how grossly over-illuminated those parts of Vegas is, since you tend to think that's how all of Vegas is, right? As a local, I know that. I know what Vegas is like to live here as a local, and I know what you see on the Strip in downtown is not how the whole Vegas Valley is, but, you as a tourist, that's all you know. The second reason that Briggs gives for reason you should not move to Las Vegas is public transportation. And this is one where I thought he was actually going to make some really good points. I can agree somewhat with this because the public transportation in Vegas is not known for being great, but he blows it by just going completely off the deep end with his exaggerations and says, in Vegas, like the only thing that they do well is, keep the deuce running up and down the Strip for all the tourists. He says if you're going to live in Vegas, then you need to have a car no matter what. No, that's not the case. You can get by in Vegas without a car. Plenty of people have done it. They do it every single day, all right? The public transportation isn't the greatest here. It's not, okay? It's a big spread out metro area, and we've had a lot of urban sprawl in recent years, and that's been part of the challenge with the public transportation system. But nonetheless, there are people every day who they get around, they get their errands done, taking public transportation, they go to work, taking the public bus. Plenty of people do it, so it's not like you absolutely have to have a car or you're totally screwed. And when you say something like, if you don't live on the Strip, then there's pretty much no public transportation options. Once again, huge over-exaggeration and a completely ridiculous thing to say. Then after you go on rambling and over-exaggerating about the public transportation system here in Vegas, you talk about gas price, and you say gas prices are pretty high here compared to other areas. This baffles me. This one totally baffles me, okay? Because when it came to the cost of living here, and I was coming here from California, I was thrilled to see that the gas prices here were cheaper than California, okay? Every time I go back to LA or the Bay Area and I see the gas prices are 50 cents up to $1 more expensive than they are here in Vegas, I don't know where you're going thinking that, the prices here are so high for gas. The gas prices here are actually relatively cheap, just like the housing's relatively cheap. It's definitely cheaper than a lot of other big metro areas of similar size. So I'm not sure what you mean by saying the gas prices here are supposed to be high. I did a video about that too for one of the reasons I love living here, and I even compared it to Los Angeles, so I'll put them up here, the link, or in the description in the comments, comparing the price of gas and other things in the cost of living in Las Vegas versus Los Angeles, and you can see for yourself. So once again, I don't know where you're pulling numbers from or where you're actually, you didn't even state any numbers. There were no numbers given. You're just talking. So now we get to the final reason, right? The number one reason that Briggs says you should not move here to Las Vegas, right? That Vegas is not a good place to live. And he says it's because of oppressive heat. This is great, right? You think Vegas is oppressive heat. I want you to think of Phoenix, right? Phoenix is even hotter than here, okay? I mean, I grew up in a hot part of California, moved here to Vegas where it's also hot. I survived both, right? The heat does come in the summertime. You know it's coming every year. It's a little bit rough, but you know what? You survive. Millions of people survive it every single year. And I don't think it's that bad. Not as bad as you made it sound. You say that Vegas is some of the worst weather you've ever come across. I mean, would you rather be living in Seattle all year where it's constantly overcast, it's constantly raining and drizzling, and you hardly see the sun like you do in Vegas? In Vegas, you have over 300 days of sunshine a year. It's one of the sunniest cities in America. Would you rather be, you know, down in Houston or down in Louisiana or down in Florida? We've got hurricanes you constantly have to worry about that come and just destroy your home. Would you rather be in the Northeast? You've got giant snowstorms that come through, or in the Midwest when they have snow, or having tornadoes come through if you're living in like middle America? Would you rather have that instead? This one's really great, okay? When you say when it's not hot as balls in Vegas, which is like 3 weeks out of the year. God, that's a great, stupid line to say. That's something, again, something that a tourist would say, because when tourists think of Vegas, they just think it's hot all the time. Like, I hear tourists say that constantly, especially when it cools off. You're like, oh, I just thought Vegas was going to be hot. No, it's not. Yeah, we're in the desert, but guess what? We're a couple thousand feet above sea level, and we have mountains all around us. We do get some snow here even during the year. We do get some snow, we do get some rain, and Vegas does get cold, okay? From November to about March, the average temperature is in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. It gets cold. It gets below freezing. I've seen it numerous times get below freezing here, where it's not always super comfortable, okay? And you're talking about in April and in October, the average temperature is in the 70s. Okay, it does cool off down here in Vegas. It is not hot all year round. Okay, another just dumb thing that you've said in your video that just shows you don't know what it's like to live here. You're just talking from the outside perspective and trying to make a good video about it, but you failed. And then the final part that Briggs mentioned in the video, the number one point where he talks about the weather here, is the flash floods we get and the flooding that does happen here in this area. You know what? This is something he's actually right about, because we do have floods, right? I guess you could say it's like the few. This is one of the only natural disaster things we actually have to deal with sometimes throughout the year. In the summertime is our monsoon season. Okay, this area only gets about 4.17 inches of rainfall a year. And that's spread across about 21 days. So it's not a whole lot that we deal with, but there are times we do get floods that happen because it comes down and it rains hard because it comes from a monsoon. So sometimes we'll get a quarter of an inch of rain or so, only like in an hour or so. It comes down hard, it comes down fast. But you'll see there are floods that happen here. Okay, for them to get really, really, really bad is rare, okay? It doesn't happen that often. Streets do get flooded, and it does make the news because there's not a whole lot to talk about here when it comes to the weather, especially in the summertime when it's just hot. Okay, you'll see videos of floods along this strip. Usually it's going to be right along the link because the link is right there in a floodplain. It's in a flood control area, and it's designed that way to have water coming and flowing through there so it can get off the strip, okay? It's designed that way to have the water come and flow through. So a lot of times you'll see floods in the strip. That's where it is over at the link. So we do have floods, but then again, it's nothing like you would get, you know, in a hurricane or something down the southern part of the country. They don't cause anywhere near that kind of damage. So, you know, to say that, you know, make it sound like it's, you know, just this absolutely disastrous event that happens, nothing compared to what so many other people in different parts of the country deal with. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. Remember, please subscribe to this channel if you want to get some real information about what it's like to live here in Las Vegas and be a local. I also have an email list you can subscribe to at JacobslifeinVegas.com to get more information about the local life here in Vegas. That's going to be it for this video. I'm Jacob. This is My Life in Vegas.